Week 1, Our Identity and Potential. Chapter 6, The Priests and the Presence. This very long and detailed chapter is dedicated entirely to one tribe, Levi. This is the priestly tribe, set apart for the specific and holy task of ministering to God in the tabernacle and later the temple. Their story is central to the book's theme of worship. While Judah got the kingship, Levi was given the sacred duty of stewarding God's presence among the people. A breakdown of the chapter. The chapter can be divided into 3 main parts. 1. The high priestly line, verses 1 to 15 and 49 to 53. The chapter begins by tracing the most important lineage within Levi, the line of the high priests, from Aaron down to the time of the exile. These were the men responsible for the most sacred duties, including entering the Holy of Holies on the Day of Atonement. This list establishes the legitimacy of the priesthood, just as Chapter 3 established the legitimacy of the monarchy. 2. The Levitical musicians, verses 31 to 48. This section is beautiful. It lists the genealogies of the 3 men David put in charge of the music ministry in the house of the Lord: Heman, Asaph, and Ethan. Music and worship were not afterthoughts. They were central. The men who led the people in praise and worship had their lineage recorded with as much care as the priests and kings. 3. The cities of the Levites, verses 54 to 81. Unlike the other tribes, Levi was not given one large territory of its own. Instead, they were given cities scattered throughout all the other tribes of Israel. They were intentionally spread throughout the nation. Connecting to our theme, identity and potential, this chapter provides a unique perspective on identity and potential. Identity. A Levite's identity was not tied to land or wealth, but to service. They were God's portion. Their entire purpose and identity as a tribe was to minister to God and to teach the rest of Israel His ways. They were the spiritual heartbeat of the nation. Potential. The potential of a Levite was realized not in conquering territory or building a kingdom, but in bringing the people closer to God. By living among all the other tribes, their potential was to be a constant, godly influence throughout the entire nation. They were the teachers, judges, and worship leaders who kept Israel tethered to their covenant with God. This is another way of enlarging your coast, not by owning more land, but by having a wider spiritual influence. Just as Jabez prayed for God's hand to be with him, the Levites lived in a constant state of nearness to God's presence, which was the source of their honor and purpose. Reflection questions for your group. 1. The Levites' inheritance wasn't land, but the Lord Himself. What does it mean for God to be our inheritance today? 2. David took the ministry of music so seriously that the musicians' genealogies were recorded. How does this change your perspective on the importance of worship leaders and musicians in the church today? 3. The Levites were spread out to influence the whole nation. How can we as believers be a godly influence in our own scattered communities, workplaces, neighborhoods, etc.? Key takeaway for Chapter 6. True honor and purpose are found not in what you own, but in your service to God and His people.